A new push to save the Haʻikū Stairs, or Stairway to Heaven. Advocates are challenging the city of Honolulu's plan to remove the off-limits landmark in Kāneʻohe. City officials say it's too much of a liability and too expensive to maintain the stairs. However, slow progress in starting demolition and rising costs are presenting other issues. Tonight's live broadcast and live stream of insights on PBS Hawaii start now.
Aloha and welcome to Insights on PBS Hawaii. I'm Yanji Denise. It's been off limits for decades, yet the Haʻikū Stairs continues to attract hikers willing to break the law to take in epic views and in some cases capture that perfect shot for social media. Concerned about liability and safety, the city is planning to demolish the World War II era structure at a cost of nearly $2.5 million. But a local nonprofit organization is now suing to stop that removal, citing what they call environmental and access issues. So where does that leave the neighbors who say hikers trespass to access the stairs at all hours of the night with little regard for the people who live there? We look forward to your participation in tonight's show. You can email or call in your questions, and you'll find a live stream of this program at pbshawaii.org and on the PBS Hawaii Facebook page. Now to our guests. Sean Pager is the president of the Friends of Haʻikū Stairs, the group behind the latest lawsuit. It's a group of volunteers whose mission is to protect the stairs and the surrounding area through stewardship and managed access. Lena Hapala is the president of the Coconut Coalition, a nonprofit dedicated to protecting and preserving the Koko Crater Stairs in East Oahu. The group also supports the preservation of the Haʻikū Stairs. State Representative Scott Matayoshi has represented parts of Kāneʻohe since 2018. He's been working with residents who live below the stairs to address their concerns. And Lorianne Santos has lived in the neighborhood near the base of Haʻikū Stairs for more than 35 years. In her professional life, she has worked for various community, nonprofit, and healthcare organizations, including the Legal Aid Society of Hawaii and the Queens Medical Center. We do want to add that we invited the city to participate tonight. However, the Blangiardi administration declined, saying it wanted to first finalize the procurement of a vendor to remove the stairs. Thank you all for being with us tonight. Sean, I want to start with you. Tell us about this lawsuit and what you're asking from the city.
We're basically asking the city to do what they should have done in the beginning, which is to do a proper environmental review of the implications of flying helicopters for 2 years up over the mountain, which is federally protected critical habitat. And they have not really studied the effect that'll have on the very rare endangered species that live in that vicinity. They haven't done any studies of and ways to mitigate soil runoff from polluting the downstream watershed. So we're really concerned they have not gone through the process, they have not been transparent. And we're asking them to stop and go through this, which will be a public and transparent opportunity to really discuss, what are the costs, what are the harms of doing this, and also looking at the alternatives.
And what are those alternatives?
Well, we would propose, and we have actually sent the mayor a detailed plan to manage the stairs, to keep them in place, which is really a much safer way to protect the environment because you don't have to rip them off the mountain. And you would manage it. It would be like Hanauma Bay or Diamond Head, where people could sign up. There'd be a slot when you want to make a reservation. There'd be a safety briefing. We'd have a guided escort visit and let people know what to expect and make sure that they're ready for this. And this would be a way to manage the resource safely, environmentally sustainable, and also respect cultural protocols, because it is a place we want people to be respectful of.
There are already a lot of your questions and comments coming in. We love to see that. And so early on, there's one from Lily Noy, and Lorianne, I would love for you to address this. What are some of the reasons area residents support the removal of the stairs?
The first one is safety. There have been continual illegal hikers that trespass through residents' property. They're rude. They have no regard for the erected signs that say, keep out government property, no trespassing. They scale the erected fences that were put up by the government. They go through properties all along where I live. I'll come home and my water hose is out. So people come and just use whatever they want. To them, it's their right. They can go wherever they want to go. It doesn't matter that they aren't supposed to go there. And they have no regard for the residents who live there. One day I let my dog out of the house and a group of hikers were walking by and they threw a chocolate bar in my yard, which is detrimental to dogs. And it's just a constant onslaught. When I've asked how did they find about the stairs, it's social media or publications that tell people about it and where it is, where, you know, local customs is, sacred areas or spaces like Haʻikū, or like when fishermen go fishing, you know, they just say they're going to go holo holo. And those who know them, we know what they're going to do. They don't need to say what they're going to do or where they're going. It's just native intelligence that we're all connected. And same with this mauna. It's considered a levelani, which was never, Kanaka were never allowed to trample or, you know, scale. These were reserved for like the highest of ali'i. So it wasn't something that we as residents have even considered doing. It's just a respected place that provides natural resources for us.
Representative Mariyoshi, I want to bring you in on this. This idea of managed access has been bandied about for some time now. Why will or won't that work?
I don't think it'll work because fundamentally managed access requires security. And I do want to say, I think the two sides actually agree on quite a bit. The residents, for their part, they want the trespassing to stop. And I know Friends of Haʻikū are absolutely against that as well. No one wants people trespassing through private property. No one wants the residents disturbed. No one wants people using your hose. The key, though, is effective security. And again, both sides agree that the current security in place at the cost of about $250,000 a year is ineffective. Friends of Haʻikū Stairs are with us on that. The security in place right now just doesn't work. People are still trespassing. People are still sneaking through yards at 2 a.m. every morning for the past 2 decades. And when someone sneaks through your yard and a dog starts barking, the whole neighborhood, everyone's dog starts barking. So it's being woken up at 2 a.m. every single morning. So that everyone agrees the neighborhood has gone through this hardship. The problem is, in order for managed access to work, you need effective security. You need to be able to exclude those people without tickets or that are not supposed to be there through the managed access plan. And when I first met with Haʻikū Stairs back in 2019, 2020, I actually worked with them for about a year with the Caldwell administration to try to make managed access work. And the key to that was trying to find a way to secure the stairs. And when I met with Friends of Haʻikū Stairs at the time, and I think still today, they advocated they said there was a choke point where if we just put security there, people couldn't get past that choke point. And I said, great. At that point, I met with HPD and I said, let's not wait for managed access. Let's put a security guard or a police officer there right now. HPD looked me in the eye and said, there's no way we are allowing us a police officer there. There's no bathroom, there's no shelter, there's no backup, there's no water, there's nothing there to support this officer. They told me that it's impossible to secure that choke point with police, and they just basically refused to do it. At that point, I knew that a managed access plan just wasn't practical. You can secure the stairs. I actually just got off the phone with HPD. You can secure the stairs without that choke point, but it requires 6 different officers at different areas where people sneak in on different ridges. The cost would be about $12,000 a day for those officers for 24-hour surveillance and security. And that's just, it's impractical. So is there a way to secure the stairs? Yes. Is there reasonable way to secure the stairs? I don't think so, and without that, managed access just can't work.
Lena, let's bring you in on this. We know that you've got a lot of experience having accomplished what your group did in East Oahu. Tell us what you think that can be learned from your experience at Cocoa Crater.
Well, our experience, you know, the community was involved as well. You know, we did have some naysayers that didn't same like Haʻikū, you know, people were coming in early when the park gates were closed, parking in front of driveways, making a lot of noise with their cars and everything. So, you know, we tried to get the city to open the gates earlier so people could come in earlier. Sometimes the military comes in there and does their exercises. People want to just get it done early in the morning, and you know, people come for sunrise. But I would always try to let people know, hey, be considerate, you know, of the neighborhood, the noise that you're making, be aware of where you're parking, you know, just don't disturb anyone, or just come when the, you know, make sure the gates are open, and, you know, just be responsible. So, you know, I would post a lot about it with the social media, and, you know, trying to get the word out there and making sure that people have, you know, that consideration in mind of residents, because I can understand it's so frustrating, and we don't want anybody, you know, like coming to use somebody's hose or disturbing anybody, like, or leaving trash, or you know, anything that you shouldn't be doing. It's
We're
just
in agreement
wrong.
on that, of
Yeah.
course. There's an email. Yeah, let's talk about that. There's an email here. What's the advantage of keeping the stairs? What's the price of upkeep? Representative Matayoshi is saying $12,000 a day to manage all those access points. How could we justify that kind of a cost?
Well, first of all, we think $12,000 is a vastly inflated estimate. You don't need to have 6 police officers. You just need to have 1 to make arrests and have detection systems. You can have security guards, you can have cameras, and you can put fences. It's not like the stairs are actually a very narrow staircase that goes up a very steep ridge. You can't get at them from many different directions. There's only a few approaches. And you can put barriers there. You can have cameras and motion detectors, which are actually very cheap. So if there are intruders approaching, you can alert having 1 HPD officer stationed at the base of the stairs. They'll know in real time that people are coming, and that's all you need. And in fact, I think Matayoshi, in 2021, HPD did do stakeouts, and they significantly, before that, there were dozens of people going per day. After they started arresting people and citing them, the intrusions dropped dramatically to just a handful. And we've talked to residents, because we've been going door to door. They tell us actually trespassing has stayed down, that most people, many people we spoke to, roughly half of them, tell us that there's less trespassing than there used to be. Not to say it's not a problem, we want to do more, and we are doing more, which we can talk about. But just having more effective security by having some enforcement, people, you know, are already going back, switching to Wanalua, because the word is out on social media that you're going to get cited and busted. And so it does make a difference. It is something we can solve without removing the stairs. Of course, if you had illegal access, that would solve making an even bigger dent, because when the stairs were open, as they were for decades under the Coast Guard, people could go legally. And most people don't want to break the law. They would like to go to this beautiful place, and if you provide a legal way to get there, they will go through the legal way. And there was no trespassing problem under the Coast Guard. 20,000 people would go, and no issues.
Representative Matayoshi, I want you to respond to that, and also I want to bring in this email from Johan, who says, by removing the Haʻikū Stairs, it's assumed that people will stop hiking the path. There will likely still be rogue hikers, therefore removing the stairs could possibly pose a greater risk to hikers and rescue personnel. What about that? Will taking the structure itself down take away this risk?
I think it mostly will. Anyone who's hiked the Haʻikū Stairs before, it is incredibly steep at certain points. I mean, I don't think anyone, even friends of Haʻikū Stairs, would say this is a very safe trail. If we take out the stairs, yes, could people scale it with climbing equipment? Of course, they could scale any mountain, any part of the Koʻolau range with climbing equipment. I don't think that's a very good reason for us to take down the vastly easier way for people to hike up this, what is at times a sheer rock face. So I don't buy that. And also, I got off the phone with the fire department today. They've made 57 rescues in and around Haʻikū Stairs and associated with Haʻikū Stairs since 2008. Many of them very dangerous rescues needed by helicopter at the cost of about $2,500, I'm sorry, an hour. So the cost right now is already there. The risk to first responders is already there, and we would minimize that by taking down the stairs potentially. I'd like to address, though, his point about the security again, though. I mean, I know we keep coming back to this because it is a key part of a workable managed access plan. And again, if we could make security work, that's what I was working on back in 2020 with the Caldwell administration. I agree. If we could make an effective security plan that works, I think that would bring the neighborhood a lot of relief. And the neighbors don't care about Haʻikū Stairs itself. They don't want to rip it down just to rip it down. They just want to take it down because that's the easiest way they can see to get relief. The amount of money that I said, the $12,000 a day, that came from HPD, and actually they generated that number based on the 2021 experiment that they did, where they put 6 officers in the field, and that they said that's the only way they could manage it. It was an 8-hour shift, so calculating that out, 12,000 is actually a pretty conservative estimate if you wanted to do 24-hour security. And again, with hikers sneaking in at 2 a.m. in the morning, you would really need that all-around security. Another point I wanted to make up that may not be that Haʻikū Stairs, Friends of Haʻikū Stairs may not be aware of too. HPD showed me a video of the true choke point. There's a lower one that Friends of Haʻikū Stairs has shown me in the past. HPD has found several other trails pretty much going up the rock face that join at about twice the height of the H3. That's where they said they would need to put a choke point if they were going to truly stop all of the hikers, because they can get up to that choke point. And that is pretty much on a sheer drop on the stairs itself. So a very dangerous location.
Oriana, I want to give you an opportunity to respond.
So for every rescue that a helicopter is involved in, you're looking at $15,000 for the rescue. And there are helicopters weekly. Like Representative Matayoshi said, the police officers have been present. It doesn't really deter them. It's like a challenge. How can we avoid them? So they go through the culverts that are in the upper neighborhood. They come at all hours of the darkness. You know, the police officers were there in their marked cars, and we'd see, okay, they're not from the neighborhood, they're hiking, and they're literally watching the police to figure out how they can, you know, maneuver so they aren't found. The back trail, I had a friend who lived there. They had a pool. They'd come home and people would be swimming in the pool. There was on Hawaii News Now where a hiker was trying to go through a neighbor's yard, got injured, and he kept saying how he came all the way from Colorado just to hike the stairs. So that he went through several state lines with the intent to commit a crime, which is a felon, and kept saying, you know, he would sue, he would sue. Ray was one of our first advocates from the upper community, and he's since moved, as well as others. A resident moved because she was assaulted. A police officer, which I submitted a picture, they've been assaulted. And it shows 3 hikers in handcuffs walking down with all the police behind them. So police officers, especially one, they've been security guards, sit in their car. You know, people come and they tell, you know, you're trespassing, there's a fine. They're like, yeah, we know. And the guy who came all the way from Colorado, he knew there was a $1,000 fine. He was willing to pay it.
We're seeing these images that you were referencing there of folks who are clearly disregarding signs and fences. Lena, I want to bring you in on this because we're hearing about a lot of bad actors, and there's a viewer comment here that says, hikers do not enhance the environment. There are many places that have removed these types of elements. The stairs need to be removed. What is the case for hiking? You know, we're hearing about people who obviously are very disrespectful, but is there a case to be made that this is a resource that people should be able to enjoy?
Yeah, I mean, the answer can't always be shut it down, close it down. We have to have some kind of compromise, a resolution that, you know, everyone will be happy with. And, you know, like I said, I don't condone any trespassing, any bad behavior from hikers. You know, I'm a huge advocate of, you know, respecting the land and respecting other people. You know, people want to be outside, and why not? You know, enjoy, you know, our beautiful island, you know, of the Koʻolaus or the Waiʻis or any, you know, any area. It's being outdoors, and people love being outdoors. And you know, in Cocoa Crater, yes, it wasn't intent for it to be a hiking mountain, but that's what it's become, and we had to make sure that, you know, everybody could come to an agreement. Of course, there's still going to be some people that, you know, are iffy about it, but you know, so in that case, we wanted to make it safe and make sure everybody can enjoy it, even though some people might not enjoy it. It's a lot of cardio, but
And we're seeing the pictures of the work that your group there did right there. I want to go to another image that that Sean shared with us, just so that we're all on the same page. And there's a graphic of what could be some access points. If we could bring that up, and Sean, if you could walk us through what these potential access routes. So what are we looking at here?
Right. So what you're looking at here is an aerial view, and where the stairs are actually located, where they start, is right at the bottom left of this map. It's right above H3. It's about 1/3 of a mile from the closest house up the slope on the other side of a major freeway. So people have this idea that you have to go through someone's backyard to get to this hiking trail, which, you know, that's true of some other trails. But this is one where, in fact, there are roads on both sides. The red arrow is the way people used to go, which I did when I was in high school. I was fortunate enough when the stairs were legal, I could drive right into the Coast Guard base on that road, following that red arrow, and you would just park far away from anyone's house and walk up to the stairs. There was a liability waiver, and that was it. And there was no problems. It worked really well. On the other, the blue-white at the bottom, there's a road following right underneath H3. This is actually the road they built in order to construct H3, which is up on, as a viaduct up on stilts. There's another road that goes right up past the neighborhood, far away. No one would see people on that road because it's further up the hill, and it's surrounded by empty public land. There are no houses. It's public, unused land. So there's plenty of ways to get to the stairs. And as I said, if you provide illegal access, as we had during the Coast Guard, there would be no issues with trespassing.
So when I'm looking at this, where exactly would you say would be the best route to have the least impact that you think could be safely secured in this? Which color route am I looking at?
Well,
it would be the white, the blue to the white? No.
I mean, they're all possibilities. The one we are currently, we submitted a plan to the mayor, and it's partly to do with landowner access, right? So I think the best final solution would be either the red arrow or the blue-white that connects right to Likelike, or the red arrow that goes the old Coast Guard, old Haʻikū Road. But we do have landowners who are willing to make access. That's the light orange arrow, and they have access to the section of the road that goes, the extension of the main valley road, and again, that goes right outside the neighborhood. Kind of, it's a big wall between anyone's yard. No one would see people driving. So that's the one that's like right here, right now. We have people who will be willing to sign an agreement. In fact, under the Caldwell administration in 2020, they had these draft agreements in place.
Well, so, Representative Marayoshi, you know, you've referenced several times that you worked on that with the Caldwell administration. When you look at these potential access routes, as Sean has explained to us today, what do you see?
You know, it's been a little while, but when I was working with the Caldwell administration, one of the problems was access. I think the fewest number of landowners you'd have to go through were 3. DOT, I know Kamehameha Schools was involved in some of these access routes, and we just couldn't get the right, DHHL was another, we just couldn't get the landowners to all agree to allow access. And again, this is
permission from all of them. Those
no, they didn't. They absolutely did not. In fact, Councilmember Kiaina went back and checked. They didn't. There might have been draft agreements where you literally have an agreement on paper that wasn't agreed to yet, but there was no agreement. And then that was one of the problems, because again, back then I was trying to make managed access work, and I told the community, we need to make a good faith effort right now to make managed access work, because if it works, it's good for everybody. It's good for us, it's good for the community, it's good for Friends of Haʻikū Stairs. But looking at those potential pathways, there simply was not agreement with all the landowners needed in order to get hikers from a public access road to the base of the stairs.
Lorraine,
Haʻikū Stairs is landlocked.
Yes,
There's multiple landowners, and in over 40 years, they have not been able to come to an agreement. No one wants liability or responsibility.
What about that liability question? You know,
Right.
that this is dangerous, and is signing a waiver enough?
Well, in fact, the stairs, do you have a close-up picture of the stairs? Because I think it'd be great for viewers to see exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about a staircase that has even no-slip steps with handrails on both sides to grip. And it's been around for 80 years. There's never been an accidental death. When the Coast Guard on the stairs, when the Coast Guard had it, when it was legal, so I don't know if you have a closer up view, but you know, it's about the safest way you can go up a mountain. And there's never been an accidental death. There's never been a lawsuit, which the city confirmed in the report they did in 2019 when they studied this. So that's a public document. And it's from the city itself saying no lawsuits, no accidental deaths. During the Coast Guard, 20,000 people a year climbed those stairs. There were no rescues, no serious injuries, no lawsuits.
I mean, you're saying that helicopters are flying over at a regular clip, so clearly there is
I'd
somewhat
like
of
to speak to that, actually.
Back then, there were
disconnect here.
20,000. It was a million. It's no longer 20,000.
a
Accessing, yes.
a million people on,
Yes.
on what, like every year?
Yes.
Wow.
And according to the Board of Water Supply EIS, it will cost $4 million annually to maintain.
Can I speak to that?
Of course.
So we used to maintain the stairs for free for decades. Our group had permission from the city, and we had volunteers who did work trips. We would repair the stairs. We would remove invasive species, take care of native plants, haul out trash. And of course, we have volunteers who are ready to do that. We have civil engineers and structural engineers. We have the expertise. It wouldn't cost the city anything. And of course, if you had the stairs open, you could charge fees, and that would pay for upkeep and maintenance and security 24/7. But you know, I think Lena could speak to this as well, that her group raised, oh, why don't you, Lena,
Yeah,
comment
tell
and tell
us
us how
about your
you fix your
fundraising
stairs.
efforts and what, you know, but what we're talking about here, I think, you know, on balance, is not, it's not quite the same. The scale is obviously much larger, but tell us what you're able to do.
Yeah.
Their staircase was in much worse shape, though, much worse.
Yeah, the erosion was just, you know, it was really bad. But we did, you know, we just put it out there, and we got, you know, our initial funding was from the city. We got all these donors from people around the world, from, you know, from our local community and around the world, and we raised almost $300,000 on our own. I mean, we had big donors like CPB and Home Depot and Walmart, and just individual companies like 1,000 here, 1,000 there, 20,000, 25,000, 30,000, you know, and that helped us maintain and keep everything going, all our insurance for our board and for our volunteers, any other supplies that we needed to maintain and fix the stairs, and hundreds and thousands of volunteers, you know, every weekend, every day, that they just want to help, they want to be a part of it, they want to be a part of the success and continue keeping our stairs open.
So, Representative, I want to bring you in. I know that you have some data to share with us, and also I would like you to respond to Lynn's email here. Under managed access, wouldn't it be the responsibility of the vendor to pay for private security, not HPD, or what Sean is talking about, where you have, you know, a bunch of volunteers who help out? Would that necessarily be enough? What are your concerns there?
I mean, my concern is that any managed access plan would require an adequate level of security. In talking to HPD, they thought, I'm not making up numbers here. I asked HPD what they thought it would take to secure the stairs, and they said it would take $12,000 a day. And as low-level officers, it actually could go up if there were more senior officers. And they also said that they're so short-staffed in HPD already that they would have a really difficult time getting enough officers to voluntarily take on. So what I'm afraid of is a managed access plan that goes through and doesn't provide adequate security. And I think we can all agree that that is kind of the worst case scenario. We need adequate security, and what I think it takes and what HPD thinks it takes is about $12,000 a day for the officers.
Doesn't that depend on what you ask and what
I
the plan
do
is?
want to address Friends of Haʻikū Stairs. They continuously bring up that no one's been hurt on this staircase, that it's so safe. I've got to disagree there. I mean, I know we call it Haʻikū Stairs. Sometimes I think of it more as Haʻikū Ladder. This is a printout of the 57 rescues just since 2008. Many of them are high-angle rescues, which HFD has told me that are extremely dangerous, especially for the first responders. Also, I just want to read a bit of an excerpt from the lawsuit that we've been talking about, filed, and this is the Friends of Haʻikū Stairs' own words describing this incredibly safe trail. They describe it as an 80-year-old staircase perched atop a steep windswept ridge exposed to torrential downpours on what is already unstable terrain prone to landslides. So this is paragraph 67 of their lawsuit describing Haʻikū Stairs. That does not seem like a safe hike.
Okay, I have to respond to that.
Please go ahead.
So the point is, and you asked the question earlier about will people steep climb. I mean, Lena can speak to this. People are going to go up there. It is on social media. The city is not going to be removing the satellite at the top. They're going to be leaving the landing stations and significant sections of what was the stairway. So even if they're gone, people will still want to go see this spot. And most of all, they will want to see the view at the top. And the way they're going to get there is either by attaching ropes, as they used to do when there was this time when the stairs were in really bad disrepair and people just routed around that. Or more increasingly, they've gone up the back way. And that's where the majority of people who are climbing that hill, they're going from the backside from Wānalua. And so the allusion that was made to all these rescues, you actually dig into the data, and we've done this. We did a search of media reports, and we looked at HFD data, which is reported in both Civil Beat and KHON. They did a story with actual detailed graphic. So to say these are all rescues caused by the stair, in fact, the overwhelming majority of these rescues are on the Wānalua side. Now, why is that? Because Wānalua has no stairs and no handrails. It's a very much longer, more dangerous trail. It's very easy to get lost, particularly in the clouds or when it rains. It turns into a mudslide and there's massive erosion. So we've actually closed a safe way to go up the mountain and forced people on this very dangerous thing where there has been one death.
People aren't forced.
People want to go, and you can't unring the bell. The views what you can see in that staircase are circulated all around the world. They're on social media. People are going to keep coming. And we can either manage this demand responsibly and manage the resource and make sure we channel it in a safe direction that doesn't disturb residents, that bypasses the neighborhoods, and makes people sure are educated and they're not going to go up in a storm, and make sure that the stairs are maintained so that there aren't landslides. We can take care of this problem if we manage it responsibly. Instead, we've just closed the safe way up, and the result is hundreds of people a day are going up the back way, and that's where the rescues are happening. And that's putting first responders at risk.
That's not where the rescues are happening. I mean, according to the fire department itself, that's 57. I mean,
in the vicinity of the stairs. Did you ask them where they're actually? Because we've looked at these reports.
Anything associated with, you can call HFD yourself instead of going through their data, and you can get the same answer. But it took them 2 days.
With the stairs.
It took them 2 days to mine out all this data. There were so many. 57 is the fire department's numbers. I feel like you think I'm making this up.
No, I think you're not separating when you say you asked them.
I didn't do any separating at all. It was the fire department.
But it's commonly reported, as we've seen, every time there's a rescue. Lena found out once somebody climbed up. We don't know how they got there. They jumped off the top and hurt their knee. That's associated as a rescue on Haʻikū Stairs, right? Most people going up are going up the back way.
But
And when the reports actually go into details, almost always it's Moanalua, or occasionally you have rescues, and we looked at the last 2 years media reports, 12 on Moanalua side, 3 coming up on the Kāneʻohe side, but all those 3, none of them were actually people who got in trouble climbing the stairs. 2 of them were people bushwhacking at night trying to get to the base of the stairs, which you wouldn't have if people had a legal way to go in daylight. And likewise, there was that other one that somebody jumped off the top. We don't know how they got there. It's always reported as, another rescue on the stairs. When in fact, I only know of one rescue ever that took place when someone got in trouble climbing the stairs. That was 2015. They climbed during a storm, which of course we wouldn't let happen. We would monitor the weather under managed access. So I think it's very disingenuous to say that the stairs are causing rescues. It's really closing the stairs and forcing people to unsafe behaviors, which we don't.
The stairs are closed.
We understand the stairs are closed. When the stairs were open, there were 0 rescues under the Coast Guard. That's the point I'd like to make, and we could go back to that.
Let's bring in some more viewer questions. Lena, I'd love for you to respond to this. Managed access does not protect our first responders. Same thing that happens at Koʻolau. Who pays for their rescues? The taxpayers, and most of the hikers aren't residents, so it costs them nothing. What about that argument?
Yeah, so when HFD had a press conference and they would talk about, who's paying for all of this, it's already budgeted that this is their job, this is what they do. Of course, we don't want anybody needing rescues, but of course, this is what happens when, there are mountains to be climbed. And I don't think that, it is in the budget that they go and rescue someone, but if people get into the ambulance, then that's when the patient is billed, right? So, and I think that there should be something where visitors and tourists who do something that they shouldn't be doing, or they need help, that there is some kind of fee that they do have to pay for, because it shouldn't be, yes, on the taxpayers of Hawaii who have to be brought upon. But there are some people who are hiking, and they should know their limits, and they should probably take a step back and not do what
Let's get to this one from Barbara and Kailua, and Lorianne, if you would respond to this. I think this person is echoing the frustration that I think a lot of residents that you are representing tonight feel. It's been some time since it has been decided to remove the stairs. What is taking so long for everyone to stop screwing around and remove the stairs? You said that you've lived there for 3 decades, and you've been. What is that experience like year after year to have this in your community?
We're frustrated. We've offered over the decade, we'll take down the stairs for free, but it just continues. We followed the process for years. We waited for the EIS. It came out, and their number 1 recommendation is to remove it. The second recommendation was send it through an alternate route, which would be going up Keahala Road through Poʻokele, and there's the Anchor Church there. We were like, okay, it takes us out of our neighborhood. But those landowners and residents don't want it going through there, because we're just transferring our situation to our adjoining community. There's really no response, and with the EIS coming out, we thought, finally, and now we're at a lawsuit by the same people who have continued on and on. None of them reside in our communities. Comparing Koʻolau to Haʻikū Stairs is apples and oranges.
How so?
Haʻikū Stairs is a near vertical ascent. It was created for one person to fit through, and not to hold the kind of public traffic that is anticipated and has traveled there, where Koʻolau is a slope. It's there's parking galore because it's at a park. You have your restroom facilities where there is none. At one point, the community keeps getting imposed with all the initially people coming and parking in our neighborhood. We have 242 homes within our subdivision. So parking was becoming a premium. And the response was, let's limit household parking, only 4 stalls per household. instead of addressing people coming in and parking in our neighborhood, and now we don't, and our subdivision was built as a multi-generational community. It was one of the last affordable homes championed by then Governor Waihee, and it was a lottery. It was intended for kupuna, for young families, for displaced families, and those with handicapped members. There was a lottery, you got selected. So our young family of 5 were fortunate enough to be one of those.
I want to bring in some more questions here. Sean, if you could address this. Grant and Hilo wants to know, can the Friends of Haʻikū Stairs take on the management or insurance for hikers on the hike? And there's a comment here from Beth, and it struck me because you talked about being able to traverse the stairs when the Coast Guard was managing it. We shouldn't be casually removing one of the most iconic hikes in the world before giving managed access a chance. Management under the Coast Guard work. That's from Beth. But first, go to to Grant's question. Can your group afford to take on this project? Absolutely.
As I explained, we had and exercised stewardship for decades over the stairs and maintained it, repaired it. And so we have that expertise still in our group, and people, certainly no shortage of volunteers, like Lena's experience shows. People are really, the majority of people want to keep the stairs. And that's not my saying that. There was an independent poll that surveyed people Oahu-wide and Windward District, and actually also Native Hawaiian community. And in all 3 cases, the groups we sampled, we got a statistically significant majority. People want to stay the stairs. So many people climbed them. They were open for decades. Boy Scouts used to go up there, Native Hawaiian gatherers, all kinds of people used it, not just hikers. Educators went there. And it was a treasured, iconic memory. It's also a historic site, so there's all kinds of funding we could get. It would be very easy to maintain these stairs, and we're absolutely ready. When the Caldwell administration wanted to reopen them, they put out a request for information to say, who's up for managing the stairs? We put our name forward, and not just us, but major tour operators like Roberts Hawaii, Koʻolau Ranch, as well as some other nonprofits, 808 Cleanup. So there's no shortage of people that would like to have a role in maintaining this resource. And to the point about security plan, whether it's going to work or not, we have a disagreement, but why not try it? Why not give managed access a try? It did work under the Coast Guard. We could do it again, maybe as a pilot plan. And rather than rushing in and spending $4.3 million, the latest estimate in the budget, but it keeps going up every year, it doubles again. So rather than spending millions of dollars on a taxpayer on a really expensive and hugely destructive, environmentally harmful removal exercise, why not try managed access? Why not try see if that can work?
Representative Mariyoshi.
I actually agree with you. I think that if we could find a managed access plan that worked, I'd be willing to try it. If we could find a managed access plan that was reasonable and again provided the security that would protect the community, I think the community would be behind it. The problem is Friends of Haʻikū Stairs has been around for 35 years, and this is the plan they came up with, and it simply doesn't work. It doesn't provide adequate security to protect the residents. Now, there's been some discussion about how, yes, it worked back in the Coast Guard days. That was pre-internet. Now we have so many web pages showing you saw the map of all the arrows to get to just the base of the stairs. There are so many other ways to get through that are all over the internet. So now that, with the advent of the internet, unfortunately, the knowledge is out there to sneak onto the stairs, and it's become uncontainable. Back in the day with the Coast Guard, yes, there was a road you drove up, you parked, you could sign a waiver. Now, again, there are access points, thousands of feet up, twice the height of the H3 that HPD has found and showed me videos of. It simply isn't practical anymore to do managed access. Could we do managed access back in the Coast Guard days? Very possibly. Can we do it now with the kind of security plan that's been proposed? I don't think so. Not in with any kind of reasonable budget. But I do believe that you folks could maintain the stairs itself, the physical stairs itself. I think you guys have done a great job with that. Similar to Cocoa Crater, you folks have done good work in actually preserving the physical stairs It's the security that we're disagreeing
And
about.
we're working on security now. We have a community neighborhood group that's been meeting every 6 weeks under the auspices of the Kāneʻohe Neighborhood Board. We have fixed fences, we've put up signs. We have tried to identify to the city some choke points, that culvert that Laurie mentioned. We brought to the city's attention and said, hey, why don't you do something about this? Unfortunately, the city hasn't responded and acted on that information, but there's a lot we could do, even without reopening the stairs, to improve security and demonstrate, as was demonstrated in 2021, as that we can stop the trespassing, we can have a viable security. Why not let us have a chance? If we had cooperation and a little pause on the removal effort while the new environmental review is going to happen, which is going to be some years anyway, why not use this time productively to see if we can't make a dent to security?
Lena, I want you to answer this one. Sean spoke extensively about volunteers. There's a viewer question here. What is the guarantee that volunteers will show up to help manage every day 24/7? How will that actually work? You've had a lot of experience with volunteers. Do you think that, given the scale of what we're talking about, that volunteers are a reasonable solution?
I don't know about 24/7 volunteers, but we were never short for our stairs, never short for on volunteers. I mean, people would be constantly, asking us when can we help? And still to this day, even though we don't have much work maintaining, but they still want to help. People will come, even if it's like a one-time visit. People are still helping and volunteering. So I don't think, because it's such a bigger project, I don't think there will be a shortage of volunteers on their stairs. Like sometimes for us, we had too many. Like it was like hard to give them jobs to do.
There's a comment here, a question here that I'd love for you to take. This is John from the West Side saying, why do we need to spend millions to remove the entire stairs and not just remove the first 30 or 40 feet so people can access them? How far up do you think the removal needs to go for it to be effective?
We've suggested that as an alternative. Remove the bottom part. Then people, they can't access or, descend from it. But like several of them have mentioned in the past, people just put ropes and they use ropes to climb. So it still doesn't address the access issue of it. And like Representative said, there's just so many points of access. And really, if people are charged, they're going to look for these alternative accesses to avoid having to pay for it.
Representative, I'm curious to know, do you think that the entire structure has to be removed, or is there a level at which that would be discouraging enough? I mean, given what you were saying about social media and all these access points being mapped out, the concern would be that even if you take out a significant portion of the structure, people will just come through in other ways.
I think it's all or nothing. We've seen the choke point that's, again, double the height of the H3 up there. The access points go way, way up. And I think leaving part of the stairs intact creates kind of an attractive nuisance. It's tempting people to go there and climb part of it or get up to the point where the stairs start. I think both of us would probably agree that that's a bad idea.
We do agree on
yeah.
that. But I would add, when you say double the height of H3, H3 is not very high. The stairs go up 3,000 feet vertical, or almost 2,300 feet, I should say, 2,400.
2,800.
Okay, well, that's the summit, right? It's a very long staircase. And most people, yeah, they may sneak onto the stairs in the cover of darkness, but they want to be there to watch the sunrise, to take their selfie in daylight. And when they go up, they got to go down. There's no other way. And so they're going to be on that stairs in broad daylight with nowhere to hide. So to talk about security and the need for 24/7, yes, we would have security guards, we would have fences, we would have cameras monitoring 24/7, but the bulk of the enforcement is going to be during daylight. And that's, if you had one HPD officer stationed there, they would be able to arrest 100% of people. Providing legal access, already, most people are going to go the legal way, as we saw. So having access coupled with robust multi-layered security to make it hard for people to approach, to detect them with cameras. We're also, as I mentioned, we've been fixing fences and we've been talking to HPD about what would work, and we want to continue these discussions, but it's a community-driven plan, and we're talking about neighborhood policing and having a neighborhood patrol.
No,
There's
it's
a
not
lot of elements.
community-driven plan.
Well, yeah, let's hear from you on that. I mean, I'm interested to know, is there any scenario in which you think that the neighborhood that is at the base of the stairs would accept managed access?
No.
Can I speak to that, please? Because we've actually...
And I want to say that because, like I said, it's gone on for 40 years. The whole purpose of the erection of the stairs is gone. It was for military communications because of World War II. So there's no purpose in it being there except now to be a recreational site. That's not a good use of our natural resources, of the people resources, of our money, economy resources. We just don't see that as being viable. There's just been too many altercations, and 90% of our native plants cannot be found anywhere else in the world. Along the stairs are endangered native species. There's, with all the trespassing or just access, there are invasive species being introduced, and just the erosion alone. We're called the windward side for a reason. We have winds and rains. We're very lush, we're very wet as compared to, central Oahu, the west side, which is drier. So a lot of even the rescues, you see the basket just swaying with the winds. Many of those rescuers, are our family and friends. So to put them at risk when we have so many other issues that our law enforcement and fire departments have to do is ridiculous.
We're almost out of time, so I want to make sure that we've heard from the neighborhood, and it sounds like there's no wiggle room there.
Can I speak to that? Because
Please,
we've
yeah.
actually,
But where do
with
we go
Kāneʻohe
from
Neighborhood
here?
Board, been going door to door talking to residents. Actually, a resident is one of the plaintiffs in our lawsuit. Someone who lives right on Kāneʻohe Street, right where the main trespassing occurs. The founders of Friends of Haʻikū Stairs were residents, and one of them still lives in the neighborhood. Our immediate two past presidents live in the neighborhood. To say that the community is against this is really a false narrative. Yes, there are people who are opposed to the stairs, but we've been going door to door. We've knocked on 200 doors, spoken to over 65 people when we find them and willing to talk to us. And this is not us, I should say, the Kāneʻohe Neighborhood Board. And we haven't been trying to push the issue. We've just actually been trying to work on trespassing and asking, is trespassing a problem? So we're not really trying to sway the issue. It's been a neutral contact. But when people have offered opinion on managed access, as 65 people did, the vast majority of them support the stairs. And that's more than 3/4.
Representative Mariyoshi, I mean, where do we go from here?
Well, I also went door to door, and this was pre-pandemic, so it's been a couple of years. And I'm actually not surprised that the residents are for a workable managed access plan, because again, the residents and myself were working on a managed access plan. A working managed access plan, everyone agrees that that would be great, because it would stop the trespassing, we could keep the stairs, everyone's happy. Again, if you ask a resident, do you agree that a workable managed access plan is the workable, a good alternative, they're going to say yes. When I went around though and I asked them, if a managed access plan, this was kind of before managed access was really, we were starting to work on it with Caldwell, 75% did not want it in their neighborhood. And I think that speaks to, if managed access is not going to work, then the stairs have to go. So again, there's no disagreement here that if we could create a workable managed access, that yeah, I think the community would be behind giving it a try. We just haven't seen any workable managed access. We've got HPD telling us it's incredibly expensive. And you can disagree with those numbers if you want, but I have not seen a workable managed access plan to provide adequate security, and they've had 35 years to create one. I'm still waiting.
And the Kāneʻohe Neighborhood Board does not support the community. And most of them are in support of Friends of Haʻikū Stairs.
On the neighborhood board.
And they're the
Yes.
elected people that represents the community. And they've heard from the community and voted consistently to support managed access, because they hear from residents who come to those meetings and overwhelmingly people support the stairs. Only a handful of people ever speak against it. So they've had, the last resolution was unanimous in 2022. In 2017, there was another one passed without opposition. So to say the community is against this, I think is really misrepresenting. Yes, there are some people that are not happy. We're not happy about trespassing. That doesn't help us. Why don't we all work together to solve the trespassing and see if we can put in place a security plan that works? Why not give that a chance?
We have 30 seconds left. Lena, I just want to ask you, where do you think we go from here?
I think that if people continue to accessing the stairs from, like, say, the Moanalua side or anywhere else on the Honolulu side, that side of the mountain is just going to get, you know, it's already so eroded on Moanalua Middle. And going up even Kulana-Ahane, doing the saddle, it's so much more dangerous and just, it's not good.
Well, we'll have to leave it there. Mahalo to you for joining us tonight. We do thank our guests, Sean Pager and Representative Scott Mariyoshi, along with Lena Hapala and Lorianne Santos. Next week, August is Pedestrian Safety Month, so what's being done to make our roads safer for walkers and runners, plus some important safety tips both pedestrians and drivers need to be following. Please do join us then. I'm Yanji Denise for Insights on PBS Hawaii. Until next time, aloha.
Local broadcasts of Insights on PBS Hawaii are made possible by the support of viewers like you. Mahalo, and by First Insurance Company of Hawaii, protecting Hawaii's families and businesses since 1911. Ulupono Initiative, building a more sustainable Hawaii by investing in local food, renewable energy, clean transportation, and waste and freshwater management. Hawaiian Electric, helping residents and businesses prepare for hurricane season. Visit hawaiianelectric.com/safety to get your emergency preparedness handbook. Carl Smith Ball, providing legal services throughout Hawaii and the Pacific since 1857, making a positive difference in the communities where we live and work.